On January 19th, Rachel Ostovich and Paige Van Zant fought at UFC on ESPN 1 Plus at Brooklyn. This was a fight between Ostovich, who coming into the fight was 5-4, with her most recent win coming by way of submission, against Paige Van Zant, who was coming off of a losing streak, although this was her second fight at flyweight. And going into the fight, I think the interesting storyline here in terms of the actual technique would be, how is this fight going to go? In Paige's best performance that we have seen from her to date, it was her win against Felice Herrig. And she used grappling and primarily her wrestling to take the fight to the mat and control from there. Ostovich, as I had mentioned before, though she's 5-4 and hasn't been terribly successful up to this point in her career, has had some success in the grappling lately too. So I figured going into this fight that it would actually be Van Zant dominating in the grappling, and would probably be able to do enough, stay active enough to get a decision win here. What I didn't expect is what happened, and through the first round, Ostovich was very dominant, took Paige down a lot, wasn't necessarily advancing that much on top, wasn't really getting all that close to any submission attempts. She did have that one guillotine from the top of half guard, but that's typically not a place where you're going to finish it, especially if there's a competent grappler on the bottom. And it's not like Ostovich was doing anything special to try to finish it anyway. But going into the second round, this is where the fight really changed from Ostovich dominating to Van Zant getting a really dominant position and then being able to finish from there. So I'll just go through what happened and then break down what's going on.
She loves punctuating those combinations, though, with that high kick.
Yes, and she's good at it, and it hides a lot of her techniques. So I wouldn't take that away.
So here Ostovich lands the punch and gets a takedown right after. Now, she did this earlier in the first round, too. And it was sort of Dillashaw-esque, which was actually pretty impressive from Ostovich, where she landed a hard overhand right and then took Van Zant's base out from under her in the same process, or in the same motion. Almost did the exact same thing there. It was a little bit slower than the first time, but it was still really impressive. So then to move along.
Yeah, she's walking right into that right hand, and then Ostovich.
So Ostovich is on top of guard. Paige keeping it open. Ostovich steps over to half and then gets a pass right through there, which is not the most impressive thing I've seen from Paige. I know Paige does pretty well from top. Not as good on bottom. Didn't really look too great on bottom against Rose Namajunas, and really not looking great on bottom against Ostovich for most of this fight. So it gives up a pretty easy pass. Then turtles, which in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's the smart thing to do, is to turtle up, because if you're getting your guard pass in Jiu-Jitsu and they actually control from side mount, they'll get 3 points for a pass. If they make a pass attempt and then you turtle up, they'll just get an advantage for an attempted pass, and an advantage just serves as like a tiebreak point. It's not an actual point. So from a sport Jiu-Jitsu standpoint, good idea to turtle up. In MMA, probably not the best idea, especially if the person who's on top is really good at taking the back, or is really good at controlling from there and just going to start punching, or just start raining down punches. So she turtles. He looks to scoot out. Ostovich gets too high here, falls down. And this is where she makes a mistake, is that when she falls down, instead of trying to turn back and get into a guard, or to make a real aggressive attempt at standing back up, or to kind of like shoot towards the fence and get back up, she sort of just kind of accepts the position here and stays down. And now Paige gets on top. Paige goes to the back take and actually gets it. Now Paige looks to mount. Rachel, instead of taking the mount, lets her stay on her back. Maybe not the best idea. Again, Paige on the back. Rachel tries to turn in. And there's an opportunity here. This is where Rachel really needs to be able to get her hip out. So what you would want to do is get her hips and kind of shoot them out this way, and then have them face down towards the mat. Isn't aggressive enough in the process, and that's going to end up costing her. So we're going to get that out of there.
Just turned it. She had it out. She had it out there.
Doesn't get out. Paige maintains the back.
You got to turn again. If you're on the bottom here, you cannot stay still. Paige Van Zant is doing a really good job.
So again, Paige is really high, kind of high and to the side right here. So if you're Rachel Ostovich, the dangers you're going to have here is that if you keep your arms in tight, you might be able to prevent the choke, but it's not going to be as easy to extend. You extend your arms out to try to shake them off, you're going to be leaving an opportunity for the armbar. But the thing is, depending on how you defend, what they're going to try to do to attack, and you can use that against them.
She's high now.
Again, she stopped right here. And if you notice, this is actually this is Rachel's hand right here. So she's actually reaching across to try to block. She's not actually doing anything to defend with that right arm. More so just to defend the punches. She's not trying to get up and take advantage of Paige riding her high here. She's just sort of accepting the position and then just trying to block the punches in the meantime. Let me just erase that. So we continue. Just blocking the punches. Again, Paige is riding very high here. Paige doesn't have a very secure position. At this point, if you're Paige, the two options you're either going to have is you're going to just try to like catch the armbar as you're falling off, or you're going to try to find some way to readjust. Maybe she can kind of grab the leg, look for that Suloev stretch. But at this point, this isn't a great position for Paige to be in. Yes, she is on the back, but she's losing the position and she's losing it fast. Rachel has to take advantage of it, and she really doesn't explode here. She's not that aggressive, and it ends up costing her. So again, now she's starting to extend. Now that arm is extended out as she's trying to stand back up, and leaving that arm there, Paige is going to try to catch it, or Paige is going to catch it, and then go for the armbar from there. So now she's got the arm extended, pops her hips into it, and that's the end right there.
So it looked like Rachel Ostovich tapped.
And Paige Van Zant gets victory. So it's good for Paige now. She's finally got a victory at 125. 125 is a pretty shallow division as it stands right now, so getting a win, even if it's against a 4 or 5 opponent, or a 5 and 4 opponent, is going to help her and probably is going to put her in a ranked position now. So from here, you get a couple wins, you find yourself in the top 5, top 10 pretty quickly. So good for her. She says that she's been training a lot over the past couple of years, even though we haven't seen much of her. I know Chael had mentioned that even when she had the arm injury, she would still come in and train and like work on the other parts of her body. As far as what it looked like in the cage, it was kind of hard to gauge the striking because she was getting caught and taken down pretty quickly. So it's not like we ever really gotten any extended sequences on the feet where you can kind of tell how she was looking there. On the mat, off her back, didn't look particularly good. On top, made some mistakes, but Ostovich never really made her pay for it. So it's kind of hard to tell where her status is right now. I'd say that the women's flyweight division is probably one of the weaker divisions in the UFC. So even though Paige didn't look all that impressive from a technical standpoint, it's not like a lot of the other people at the top of that division are, other than Valentina. So for her, if she can really string together a good amount of time in the gym now, start actually training a little bit more, start developing her skills, there's a chance that she could work her way into the top 10 and even top 5 pretty shortly.